So Sav, obviously, start off just by telling us how Chasing Amy came to be.
Oh my gosh. Well, Chasing Amy came to be with a lot of audacity and a lot of effort and a lot of collaboration.
Yeah.
So basically, at age 12, I saw Kevin Smith's movie Chasing Amy, and it radically changed my life. Presented a path forward to me as a filmmaker, but also as a queer person when I couldn't really imagine a future for myself. And so I kind of clung to that as a life raft. And, about 10 years later, I gave a TED talk about what Chasing Amy meant to me. It got Kevin's attention, and it kind of set into motion the events of the documentary, which I'm stoked for people to see, and people have been really nice about it so far.
So it started off with Kevin Smith, really, like.
Yeah, I mean, like seeing Kevin's movies, like I just resonated with like the sense of humor, and I just really liked his sensibility. I was totally movie and TV obsessed, but Chasing Amy very specifically was the thing that made me want to be a filmmaker.
And then what was it like to actually meet the guy behind making this movie that meant so much to you?
Oh my gosh, well, Kevin's so nice. Kevin is like, he's very generous with his time, and, the fact that he resonated so much with the TED Talk, and, he felt moved to like reach out to me. I mean, that's a life-changing thing again, and not very many people would do that, let alone somebody as busy as he is. So it meant everything to me.
So, this movie that was so big and important to you, at what point did you really come to understand what a controversy the movie was?
I don't think it was until college that I really understood, that other LGBTQ people maybe didn't like Chasing Amy very much at times, and the queer community is not a monolith by any stretch, but there were a lot of people that would be like, hey, why do you like this movie? And so I thought that was a really interesting starting place, and that's kind of where we started in the documentary.
Yeah. And so how sort of difficult was it for you to sort of resonate with the fact that people couldn't relate to it on the same level that you could?
I think when I was a kid, I like felt defensive about it, and I felt the need to defend Chasing Amy. And then as I got older, I was like, you know what? There's space for multiple things to be true at once, which is something that we really explore in the movie of, okay, well, this thing that was so pivotal to my life and, to become the person that I am, also can be hurtful to people. And, I think that's so true of many things in life and the way that we interact with films or television or what have you.
Yeah. So what were some of the most difficult parts in making the documentary?
Oh gosh, well, being in the documentary when you did not plan to be in the documentary is extremely challenging. And so I was listening to the people around me that were like, Sav, we're really resonating with your story here. The straightforward anthropological documentary you want to make about Chasing Amy and queer people maybe is not the movie that we should be making. And so it was really vulnerable to, not only, see myself in the movie just regularly, but also to be preserving a part of myself pre-transition that I wouldn't have asked for otherwise. It's not a fun place to be. And it's very vulnerable to watch yourself come of age as you make mistakes and as things change or you're cringing even, right? Like that's a tough part. So that was definitely the most difficult part of it.
So then, meeting Riley, starting, having Riley be a part of this, how did that all come to be, and how was that difficult?
It's not difficult because she's great. It's like she was game from the first second. She was like, what do you want me to do? Okay, stand here. Okay, big deal about it. So she's the best. So it was super easy to just be able to work with her and to film together.
Was she familiar with Chasing Amy beforehand?
She was not familiar with Chasing Amy before we met, but she watched it begrudgingly, and she was like, okay, I think I like this. And then we watched it together the first time that we met in person, because we met online, and it was like a whole thing. And I fell asleep, and she's never stopped giving me shit ever since. And it's been good. I mean, she loves the movie, and, she hasn't watched it as obsessively as I did as a kid, but I think it holds a very special place in our hearts now.
So, watching the movie sort of helped you to recognize, who you are, and that it was okay to be who you are.
Yeah.
Did making the movie sort of help with your transition?
Yeah, I mean, I think making Chasing Amy really forced me to consider how I presented to the world and if my inner self was in alignment with my outer self. And when you're making a movie that requires that kind of vulnerability, you have to bring that into alignment, or you're not going to finish the movie, and you're not going to be happy as a person, and you're not going to be able to do the things that you want to do. So full credit to everybody who was so supportive when I came out in the middle of making it.
So what do you really want people to come away with from watching Chasing Amy?
Oh gosh, well, I hope people recognize like the power of movies. We're in this moment where there's labor disputes all over the world, but specifically here in Hollywood, the movies that we make, it matters. Seeing yourself and knowing you exist, it matters. And also, if you've never met a trans person before, and I'm the first person that you think that you've met as a trans person, like or a cis person who wants to meet trans people, or is just curious, like I hope that you can see that our lives are just as boring as anybody else's.
And then from the Comic-Con community, people that love all different things and are so into different things. What do you really get out of people here?
Oh my gosh, well, Chasing Amy is about fandom in so many ways. So to be able to be here at Comic-Con and talking about it is a dream come true on a number of levels. But I hope that people, resonate with the fandom element of it. We started this movie because I loved Chasing Amy, very simply, very purely, to paraphrase Holden, right? And so to be able to come back and to talk about it and to talk about this fandom that I've had my whole life and celebrate it with people, but also to show like, hey, it's a good starting place if you were interested in being creative, and have a whole panel about it. That's really fun.
And then one quick end question. Obviously you've got a bit of a Pokemon fandom. What are your favorite fandoms?
Oh my gosh. Well, my favorite fandoms, Pokemon, Mass Effect, Star Wars, and I think that's good. That consumes a lot of my life.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It was wonderful to meet you.
So nice to meet you, and thanks for the great questions.
Yeah, thanks.
And thank you.
Thank you.